Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, the journey with Turbo has been absolutely amazing this week, generally speaking, right? We had our big Monday pump, right? This thing went absolutely nuclear. If we take it pretty much from the bottom, more or less, at one point we're up 57%. On a day, we pretty much closed roughly around, let's just say 37%. And we can see that we have very unique price action. Now, the last time I talked about Turbo, right, we did say that we were looking for candle closes. Now, we did say that we would want a candle close above this, right? We did say it. But, ladies and gentlemen, right, we gave two scenarios. And unfortunately, right, the shittier scenario did play out, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's over just yet. It just means that it might take a little bit more price action, a little bit more sideways movement before we make another attempt at pushing up higher. Okay. Last time I said that we are going to be looking for a 4-hour close and we're going to want it to be above 0.00632, right? This is the current 4-hour close and we can see clearly it is lower. Even when we actually break it down on a smaller time frame, we can see how we are entering order blocks and wicks consistently. Okay, something like the 30-minute. I mean, sometimes it's hard to see, but it's the details, right? We could see, boom, actually like this. If we go actually the 1 minute, boom. This is part of the trading life. So we have this wick, we have this go into this, and then practically, ladies and gentlemen, right, we have this kind of go into this. And if you know what I'm talking about, then you know. If you don't, that's okay. You could always, learn by watching these videos, or of course, joining the private community where you are able to watch videos and learn about, this type of trading and why candles move the way they move. But we can see, right? We're just consistently tapping off and selling, right? We're going into a zone, we're selling off, we're going like this, then we're tapping back into a zone to accumulate, tap into a zone, sell off once again. Now, I will say, even though we are kind of selling off, are kind of in, we are kind of getting sandwiched because we do have this low over here, right? We do have this low over here. Let me just draw it out this way, right? This low over here, but we also kind of have this support and we could be, technically forming a higher low right now because we do have this low. We could be forming a higher low. We could be forming a lower high and a lower high and a lower high, but potentially within the next couple of hours, maybe by the time this video comes out, we could be looking to explode a certain direction. Now, since there's indecision, I cannot tell you 100% which direction is going to be, okay? Because from both sides, we are kind of getting squished. And that is just the reality of this matter, okay? That is just kind of the reality. But we can see we are needing to make a choice. If we do go down, ladies and gentlemen, I don't expect us to go too much further down. I expect us to have a nice bounce back and to attempt going back to these last relevant highs. Okay. Right. Going back to these last relevant highs. If we do break out though, ladies and gentlemen, then we are going to be attempting to go back to the highs as well, if not even potentially pushing further up. Now, this does depend on a few things, right? Bitcoin is looking a little bit weak, right? The selling price action was great. The buying price action is nowhere near as strong, but we can see Bitcoin dominance is absolutely selling off, right? Bitcoin dominance is absolutely selling off. And this could very well be the start of the altcoin season. Now, I will say, ladies and gentlemen, if we go to something like others, right, this chart's actually very important for us because we fall in this category. This is pretty much altcoins that are not in the top 10 for market cap, which obviously we're not. We're like 100, 40 something. We can see, ladies and gentlemen, that we are kind of in this channel. But the thing is, right? The thing is, if we do kind of hold and retest off of this 280 to 300 billion market cap zone, then we actually should be seeing a decent burst for altcoins heading up very, very soon, right? Very, very soon. And the crazy thing is we are still not above, this zone. Because once we kind of get above this zone, that is going to be the real breaker. Where if we take it, let's say from here, maybe to down here, right? It's a, subjective. We can see that if we even go to like the 2.2 area, right, a very realistic area, we have a long way to go for altcoins, right? The 1.6 is kind of underwhelming. The 3.2 is also realistic, but it's also, slightly pushing that moon boy factor. But we can see we still have a long way to go for altcoins. So something like Turbo, whether or not it pumps now or it takes a little bit longer to wind up, it still, has a long way to go and it will continue to do very, very well. Now, I will say, in terms of the daily candles, these look very, very weak. And I do say right now, I do think we will pump up, based off these candles. That is what I personally think. Okay. Now, like I said, we don't have the confirmation just yet, but these two selling pressure candles are really, really bad. They're actually very, very similar to what we've been getting, the other times. Every time we kind of had, 2 days of selling pressure, we got buying pressure. 2 days of selling pressure, buying pressure. 2 days of selling, buying. We only had one day here, but then we had buying pressure, 2 days of selling and buying. So for me, it kind of does, potentially indicate that we are looking to wind up, right? Wind up and continue with the momentum, right? The markets are hot right now. The markets are hot, and I do expect them to continue to be pushing up higher and higher. For the weekly, we do want to close above this weekly high over here because that would suggest a higher high confirmed, right? That would be a higher high confirmed. So, we obviously are following structure right now. We have this low, higher low, we have this high that was higher than this high. And of course, closing, above this green box, just practically above 0.00588, right? If we close here, 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 obviously the higher the better, but anywhere just above this green box, we'll be looking really, really good and set and sound for, the rest of the weeks because that would confirm on a higher time frame a higher high on the weekly. But yeah, ultimately that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what you guys think. We also did have a little, boo-boo type thing that popped up on the channel. I accidentally somehow uploaded the wrong video, even though, right, even though, ladies and gentlemen, I could have sworn I just clicked the most recent video to upload, but yeah, it happens sometimes. I mean, it was the first time it happened, but it was just a funny little accident. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys did enjoy, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.